here, so let's go ahead and get this party started. Thank you so very much for joining us for another episode of the Virtual Speaker Series. Today's actually a pretty cool one. This is almost having a conversation and a discussion with a bunch of friends, so we'll kind of get into it. This one is really important because this is about something that pretty much everybody on here is familiar with, and that is social media. So we're not just going to talk, though, about how to start a social media account, but rather how to use your social media account to help drive action and growth of your business, which is ultimately, if you have social media and you are not figuring out how to monetize your social media, then you are absolutely wasting the potential of social media. So today, this is actually cool. I think this is the first time in 2 or 3 months that we've done this where there have been more male panelists and women panelists. So the ladies will get a chance to go first and introduce yourself. Ms. Florence Gaspard is actually an author as well as a business coach. But please introduce yourself. Tell us a little bit about who you are, where you are, as well as one fun fact about yourself.
Okay. Good morning, everyone. My name is Florence Gaspard. Like Daniel said, I am a speaker, motivational speaker, coach, author, and business strategist. So pretty much what it means that I help people and coach people start business or scale their business. And so I partner up with organizations in partnership with around different counties in regards to setting up events that teaches others how to solidify their business plan. And in other words, in terms of how to execute their strategies, because often we don't know a lot about certain business, especially if you wasn't raised in a family of entrepreneurs, of how to build successful businesses that allow you to be in the room with the big boys, so to speak. And also monetizing, in other words, making money, what you love to do, make money. And that's always a big secret that people have. Like you said, I'm also an author, and I also write about manifestation, how to attract the things you want in your life. And it all starts with your spirit and your mindset. So pretty much that's my intro.
Awesome. And fun fact about yourself.
Fun fact, well, I am a foodie and I like to travel around the world.
Awesome. Well, welcome. Glad to have you for the first time, but definitely looking forward to your insights. Ryan Hall, we're just going to rename you Ryan with the good here. Welcome, man. Definitely glad to meet you. Thank you very much for joining us. Little bit about yourself and fun fact.
Okay. So, hi, everybody. My name is Ryan Hall. I am the owner of Black Valley Digital. We are a marketing and education company. And my big stuff that I pretty much do is I work with small businesses and artists to essentially teach them how to go online, find their tribe of customers, and reach them profitably to sell their products and services and to share their amazing stories. Because I believe every entrepreneur and every artist has an absolutely amazing story, and they have people who are waiting to hear them and to get in touch with them. And if you just use social media properly, you can do that. And then, of course, with the education side, we actually do a lot of courses and workshops around everything from marketing and building your own business to actually digital arts for youth. So we actually do game design courses, web development courses, animation. Matter of fact, I'm doing an animation class tomorrow, and today's supposed to be a coding class a little bit after this. But my little fun fact about me is actually my first course that I was a part of was actually in partnership with Code Fever Miami and Nifty. And I did it back in 2014. So that was like the start of my professional career, was with Nifty.
Wow. I like the fact that you did that, because that was a great little segue into our third guest. By the way, thank you for joining us today. And our third guest is Mr. Gabriel Rondon, affectionately known to those of us who know him as Gabo. He's actually not only a Nifty student, but also he won the first his cohorts competition. So he's actually, you're talking about somebody who just participated in the camp, participated last year, and actually is one of our winners for the previous version of last month's version of this particular camp. Gabriel, welcome. Thank you for joining us. We appreciate you. Tell them a little bit about you.
Thank you, Daniel. Thank you for that incredible introduction. Okay, thank you, everyone. Good morning. My name is Gabriel Rondon. People usually call me Gabo. And my story is that I came here almost 3 years, August 2017. And when I came here, it was totally different. High schools here have like academies, they have GPAs, SATs. So the system was totally different. So when I realized that I was Hispanic, that I didn't know the system, the language, I had a huge obstacle. So after several months, after asking, after researching, after trying, I could position myself in a strong academic records, but also help others. 1 year after, in my almost senior year, I could found the first club that helps foreign students to guide them in this academic process. And that club is called Welcome to Ferguson. Ferguson is the name of my high school. So we help them by doing monthly meetings. We answer them questions. We guide them with the counselors. We help them with the language because a lot of them came from Cuba, from Puerto Rico, from Colombia, from Spain, Argentina. And they didn't know the language. So we try to help them. And that was my first project here in my high school. But before, in NFTE has helped me to create a Gabarisma YouTube channel. You can look it up. It's called Gabarisma. And in that YouTube channel, I specialize in helping other young teenagers to help them with the social skills, with interactions. So long story short, NFTE has helped me in a lot of projects. And it has helped me grow this entrepreneurial mindset in order to grow, in order to always expand my knowledge, expand my network, and be the best version, thank always to God. And a fun fact about me, well, I have 4 siblings, and we're waiting to have a dog very soon.
And I think I saw your brother pop on a little bit early as well. So, it is definitely a pleasure to have you. Glad to have you come back and speak from a perspective of not just somebody who's 20, 30, 40 years removed, but somebody who literally just did all of what these students are going through just last month. Just really quick, everyone has spoken really has briefly about your wins, right? What you do and the highlights of what you do. But I do want to ask about what would you say has been one of your biggest professional wins? But on the flip side of that, because we always talk about the wins, what has been one of your biggest losses and the lesson that you've learned from that?
I think I could start with mine.
Awesome.
So it's actually really funny because I'll probably map them close together. So for me personally, one of my biggest losses was actually the thing that started my business. So before starting my business back in 2019, I actually used to work as a program manager for an absolutely wonderful and amazing Black startup ecosystem nonprofit. And I had been working with them for a good, almost like 5, almost 6 years. And I was doing amazing. But at that point, I felt as though I needed to start doing some other work. So I was getting angsty, but I wasn't necessarily going to leave at any point in time because I was very comfortable with, having a salary, which is nice. Long story short, we had this one project, and it was a huge project. And the other partners that we were working with really wanted to get out of it, and they were looking for ways to get out of it. And I ended up giving them a reason to get out of the project. I messed up, showed up extremely late to a program, and because of that, lost the contract. And that was a huge contract we lost. So because of that, I got fired.
Wow.
which is huge. So being late for something that ended up costing me my job, and that literally happened right after I moved with my girlfriend into our new apartment. So I was like, oh, this is awesome. I got fired, and now I need to start paying even more rent. So I was like, and my girlfriend told me, yeah, if you don't start making money, I'm gonna leave you. So I was like, oh, great.
Oh, wow.
So now I lost my job. My girlfriend's threatening to leave me. I got to figure out what to do. And before I had like been let go, I had already been doing some work with a few clients, and I had experience doing web development for clients and talking a lot about marketing and doing marketing stuff because that was part of my job as the program manager, was to bring people to our different events and the programs that we were putting on. So then I decided, all right, so I might as well just start reaching out to people that I know who could use my services. So like immediately afterwards, because I got let go, I got fired on a Friday, just like on Friday. I go get fired. So I got fired on a Friday, and like I started reaching out to people that I knew who could use help with certain projects that they had, and I had my first client by that Monday.
Wow.
So yeah, I definitely turned one of my biggest failures into like a huge win, because I had money in the bank on that Monday. I had that deposit, and I was like, woo, awesome. So the moral of the story and like the lesson is, even though things may seem bad at certain times, because things will seem bad when you're running your business, it doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be a bad thing. It's how you respond to the situation that turns bad situations into good ones. So it could have been an absolutely awful situation, but because of it, I took it as the opportunity for me to apply all the things that I learned and to give service and value to other business owners in like my community.
Wow, that's a powerful lesson. Very powerful lesson. Flo, I know you've been itching to jump in because you do mindset. And so I think it's a perfect time to kind of pull you in kind of on the back end of what Ryan just said. Can you talk a little bit about big professional win, but also a loss and a lesson that you got from that?
Okay, so one of the losses that I can share is that when I wanted to put my first live conference, so it was a friend of mine. We both do similar things because, like you said, I one thing I didn't mention is that I worked as a mental health therapist for many years. So the friend that we partner up to do, like you say, a conference, of empowerment conference. So we went. We contact a hotel, we put the down payment, we order the food, we create the flyer, so everything was fine, was looking great. And then 3 people show up.
Wow.
And so just, you can see that it kind of bruised the ego, so to speak, and I was like, it's even in the speakers that I have come through to present, was like, okay, where's your audience? I was like, I think people should be coming soon.
Wow.
But nevertheless, no one really, so that was pretty much it, and so that, I was embarrassed, and I had to recruit. And it goes along with what the topic is in terms of marketing, and how a marketing is very important, because what they teach us is that if you build it, it will come. And that is far from the truth. In other words, just because you build something doesn't mean that your audience will find you. And so that's one of the things that I've learned, that I didn't promote my event the way I should have, and also talk the language that my audience, my target audience, will understand. Hey, this will benefit you, because one thing about marketing is that people want to know what's in it for them, what's in it for me. How can your services, your products, help me solve my problems? And one thing that I've learned across the, my span of business, and even investing in myself, because that's one of the things I have to learn, because when I realized my shortfalls in marketing and also branding my brand, I had to take classes, I had to learn from people who know how to do these things, and one thing I've learned that stuck out to me from a lot of my mentors, it's like, Flo, it doesn't matter what you sell, because people buy you. So when they say people buy you, that means people buy who you are, your integrity, your ability to deliver what you say you're going to deliver, your presentation. So you have to present yourself where people wants to know and curious about, you know, what you're putting out there. And you know, and the thing is with social media, and it started when I started to just post things, places I was going to. And it wasn't for me to attract, you know, attention to my personal page technique, because this is where my brand started to build up. It just saying, hey guys, I went over here, you know, to this, you know, activity, or I did this event, and people were curious, was like, well, Flo, how do you find these places? Well, circles, I you know, the people I know, you know, they would send me invites, or I do my own research. And before you know it, you know, I would show up to place and people were like, Flo, what's next? You know, you know that, you know, I don't know if it's, you know, you guys probably be too young, you know, where they had that cartoon where the word is Carmen Sandiego. That was more. So it's another word is like, okay, what is next for Flo? And people was intrigued by that. People were intrigued because, you know, I guess in my pictures when I was posting that I was having fun. I was posting that I was finding new stuff and engaging people, and people want to know, because anything that brings people good feeling is attractive. You know, that's why people are attracted to successful people, is because it brings us good feelings. We want to feel good, you know, and we want to feel like we also can experience those experiences in our lives, because sometimes people will reach out and say, hey, you know, thank you for posting that, because I'm here in Idaho and we don't have this kind of thing happening. So I'm living my life through your social media vicariously, you know. And so I didn't realize I was just having these kind of effects on people. But then this is also allow me to build, you know, get some more information as to, you know, if you tell a story in regards to what you market, you know, you going to attract, you know, your right audience. Because sometimes you might feel like, okay, you know, I want to attract, you know, I want this target audience, you know, people in my age group that looks like this. But people who buy your service and product may not be those kind of audience. So normally you have to put it out there and see who wants to know more about your service, who wants to know more about, you know, your product. And so that will gauge you in terms of like what kind of audience is for you, because your ideal audience may not be technically your ideal audience. So that's the spiel. So nevertheless, you know, I learned, you know, I took the hit, you know, licked my wounds from that bad experience. But I won't say bad, it was a learning experience from putting on my first conference, because what I was learning as a speaker, you know, being a motivational speaker, is that I was waiting for people to invite me to speak. After a while, I was like, I'm gonna create my own platform and I'm gonna speak on, you know, on my own platform. And so that's the reason. And so that, you know, it could have discouraged me. It could have stopped me from, you know, pursuing other events, but I kept finding how can I tweak it? How can I make it work? And this is where the mindset happens. This is what set leaders, you know, from the rest of the people, is that leaders learn to find, you know, opportunities during challenges, during difficulty. A lot of businesses like Uber, Airbnb, they were fine during the recession when the economy was bad. You know, so when you learn to be a problem solver, then you're going to find people who wants to, you know, buy your solving, you know, your solution. So just keep in mind that a loss is not necessarily a loss. A loss is a lesson to learn, to go back to the drawing board and say, what can I tweak in my plan in order to move forward?
I love the fact that that was how you ended it, because there were two things that stuck out about what you said. The very last thing, which is there's a lesson in the loss. And then the one thing, which is people don't buy necessarily the product, they buy you. And I wanted to make that point because Gabble, that is really the essence of what you did with your very first concept, Gabarisma, right? It was largely centered around how you get people, the law of attraction. How do you attract people to you? So can you speak a little bit to wins and losses for you as well?
Perfect. Thank you, Daniel. Right now at this moment, I see a lot of you guys that you look very young. You look like you're in middle school, you're maybe in high school. But as a student, we might say to ourselves, okay, we don't have like any huge professional loss. We didn't lose a contract because we're students. We don't have this huge payment coming up. But let me tell you that as a student, every single thing that you start, yeah, and if it's difficult, it might be a huge reward in the future. Let me tell you my first story when I came here. At the beginning, my academic was very, very difficult. I didn't understand anything. That was the first obstacle. Second obstacle, I wanted to enroll in a program called IB. I couldn't because I didn't have the classes from my past years. Then I wanted to go to sports. I wanted to go in soccer. I couldn't because I didn't have the resident papers like as a citizen yet back in that time. Thank God right now I have it, but back in that time I didn't have it. So I presented obstacles and obstacles and obstacles in the beginning. But let me tell you that there is a phrase that Robin Sharma says, that obstacles are just the cause of greatness. So if you have cause right now, if you're struggling at the beginning of something, if you want to go in a program, but maybe it got canceled, if you want to go in this and maybe you can't, that's a huge sign that you have to keep going that way or to remodeling yourself. And that cost of not having the IB program, the cost of not going to soccer, the cost of not understanding the academic system, that led me to a path of academic success. At that point, that I won several awards in my high school, being the best, one of the top 10% in my class, gaining the Silver Knight for Business competition. For those who don't know, a Silver Knight, it's an award that they give to students who have a lot of community hours, that they have like good outstanding record. And also I was awarded as a student of the high school of the year. So how can you tell me that a student coming from another country, halfway in high school, could make all these things possible? Well, that's the secret. God held me in the way, putting me obstacles that prepare me to a bigger thing in the future. And thank you for all those programs such as NFTE, such as my high school, all those prepare me to the person that I'm today. So everything that is in the past and you think that it's not working in the present, believe me that it will work in the future.
Wow, that's powerful because, and I actually put it in the chat, obstacles are the cost of greatness. I feel like that's a very, very powerful statement. It may not resonate with everyone yet, but there's going to be a point in their life that they're going to remember that you said that. And Flo, I do want to bounce back to you because you started speaking a little bit about storytelling, especially using social media, right? So one, why do you believe that social media is such an amazing tool for a budding startup or for a new entrepreneur?
I didn't catch the last ending of your question.
Oh, sorry. Why do you feel that social media is such a great marketing tool for new entrepreneurs or people that are just starting out in business?
Well, I mean, with social media, the platform itself, it'll allow you to be in front of people from all around the world, and so the reach itself is one of the great benefits of social media because, you can be marketing with somebody who's in a different state, a different country. And because normally you won't cross paths with these people, so being able to have access to people who are in diverse, like you said, regions is a plus, number one, and number two is is a cost-effective way of putting your marketing, because traditional marketing is buying radio space or buying newspapers, putting your articles in newspapers. So these are sometimes could be costly. So this is an easy, less effective, or free for most most platform way of actually advertising your product, advertising your services. And it also tell your story, because story allow people to resonate. So that means to connect with you in regards to why should I buy your t-shirt versus somebody else who's selling the same t-shirt, but maybe if you were a person who maybe lost a parent through an illness, or, didn't graduate high school and you were able to make it, and I see myself in you, then more likely I'm going to buy your t-shirt because I see me in you, and that's what sets sometimes the stories apart, is that, we're able to, first of all, understand that, there's a lot of options out there, and then you're gaining other people's attention among other people who's selling the same solution and products. But when they're able to connect with you, it brings an emotional tie, because people buy through feelings, than anything else. It's how people, again, I stress that, it's how you make people feel. Of course, that's, people who know the saying is that you can remember, maybe you can't remember what somebody said or do, but you can remember how they make you feel. So if you're able to elicit some emotion in your customers, or ideal customers, then you are able to move them into action, the call of action. That means in order to either you want them to download something, purchase something, listen to something, watch something, you're able to tell them what exactly you want them to do in order to support you. So that's the importance of, like to utilizing social media. Like you say, it gives you opportunity to get in front of people. It's free for most of the time, and you get to control what you put in. So you get to tell your story, how you want to tell your story. So those who who connect with you will, follow you and understand what value you are bringing to the table.
That is an awesome answer. And Ryan, I wanted to get your perspective, right? Because you said something that stuck with me in your previous answer, where you spoke about being able to find your tribe. So why, you obviously believe in the power of social media. Why is it a powerful tool for a new entrepreneur and for a growing business?
So why is social media powerful for a new entrepreneur and for small business owners? Plain and simple, it costs the low and wonderful cost of free 99. And everybody loves free. And I don't think we really take the time to appreciate how easy and how much social media has changed the marketing landscape. It's completely changed the marketing landscape, and it is something like this has never existed in history before. And I think if entrepreneurs understand the history of how media worked, period, then you'll understand how much of a big deal social media is. So back in the stone ages of the 1990s, when we go back to the 1990s, think of it like this. The only ways that you could possibly reach your customer, if you had a product or service and you wanted to connect with them and you wanted them to know about your product or service or to give you money in any way, shape, or form, how on earth did you actually physically get it in front of them? You had to pay for a billboard. You had, which is one form of media, which is physical media in the world. So you paid for a billboard, you paid for your signage in front of your building or your restaurant or wherever your place of business was. You could, my battery's getting low. Okay, there we go. So you would pay for a billboard, so something in the physical space. Or a Goodyear blimp or whatever. You could pay for physical media like newspapers, which they needed to physically print those out. So of course there was a cost associated to that. So you're paying anywhere from a few hundred to a few $1,000s to show up in the weekly newspaper that goes out. You paid for newspapers to show up in newspapers for hopefully that were geared towards your clients. So maybe it would show up to them. You would pay for radio ads, hopefully on a radio show that they watched. You could also get a TV spot and do an ad, but for an ad like that, you would have to pay for studio time to actually produce the actual commercial itself. So the cost for any type of marketing whatsoever was so high. And then this crazy thing called the internet came out. And now we have social media, which is essentially, a platform where you're able to post something for free, which has never been available before. And it's not like you're just posting something for free locally. You're posting something for free that could be reached by people all around the globe. That has never been available in history. So to be 100% honest, if you have a product or service that you're thinking about putting together, more than likely the people who will actually want to purchase your product or service already are congregating somewhere online. They have groups online. There's Reddit, there's Facebook groups, there's they're posting on Twitter. The people are coming together in different groups online, and all you need to do is just join the conversation and start giving value to people. And social media is literally the easiest way for you to start joining the conversation, to give value to people, to let them know about you, share your story, and then make an offer. And by making an offer, the more offers you make in the marketplace, the more money you make. It's just that simple.
Add value, monetize that value. Amazing. And it's funny you say that, right? Because everything that you say is absolutely true. The first time I interacted with Nifty was from a Facebook post that had an opportunity to come volunteer. And then this is kind of the result of how I even got involved with Nifty. Gabriel, if you want to speak a little bit about why you feel that social media is such a great marketing tool. I mean, you referenced your YouTube channel earlier. Why is it so successful and so impactful for you?
Perfect, thank you. I will say two things. But first, I see a lot of you guys in the camera. I see, for example, Ellie, Andrea, David, Melissa, a lot of you guys. So I want to make a quick interaction first. Raise your hand if you have a social media profile. All of you that are in the camera. Okay, I see Roderick, Claren, I see Kayla, Kira, Andrea, and Ellie. Good, thank you. So every social media that you have is an opportunity to do two things: make an impact and make profit. And I will tell you why. The first thing is making an impact. Yesterday, I posted a picture in my social media account, in my Instagram, saying that 3 years ago, I was new in this country and I had the opportunity and I took the advantage. That's simple. I put in a caption. And hours after that, friends told me, wow, that was so good. I feel so motivated right now. I'm Hispanic too, and I want to overcome any obstacle. So that's the thing. With every single post that you put out there, it's an opportunity to impact other people's life. It could be so simple. It could be a flower. It could be a sky. But if you put like a caption that means something to you, other people will hear your message. That's the first point. And the second point, you can make profit. And depends on your niche. For example, let's say David likes to play video games, or Andrea likes the makeup industry. If you are in that and you add a value to putting information that you like, putting videos, putting pictures, and you start like building up your social media, people will notice and people will contact you. Hey, do you want to try out this? And we'll give you money. Or do you want to have this free product if you advertise us? And that's a real case scenario in my case, because before the coronavirus, I got an offer job for a real estate firm just for my profile. They saw that I was very motivational and I was very active, and they told me, hey, can you help us with our social media? So that's a huge thing. Every time that you post is a way to impact others and also make profit.
That's powerful. Very powerful. And once again, keep in mind, you just graduated, right? So we're not talking.
Yes, I graduated.
You're not talking about somebody who's been doing something 10, 15, 20 years. This is literally in real time. You can become, social media is still so new that it is possible to become an expert in it in a very short period of time. TikTok has been the craze since January. And there are people that join TikTok in June or in May that have amazing followings and can go viral in a short period of time. So there's a lot to be said for being able to use and leverage the tools to grow your business. Talk to me a little bit, if you will, while you're already on the screen, Gabriel. Talk to me a little bit about marketing and storytelling versus selling using social media.
Marketing and storytelling and selling are two very different things. Because in one, as I said, you can make an impact, you can inform people, you can add them value into their lives. But in the other one, you want money or you want to gain something from them. So in order to start your social media venture, when you want to start your business or your profile, think about what's your vision. What is your why? For example, my why could be seeing other Hispanic people succeed in this country. So what is your why? Why are you doing your social media? Do you want to impact people? Do you want to inform them? Do you want to make them laugh? Do you want to entertain them? In that, you're storytelling them. For example, I was walking around and I fell, and you make them laugh. So you're telling a story that has a purpose. And then you're gonna see results. But in the selling, it's another total different thing. Selling, you said, okay, I have this, I'm gonna sell it for this price. Do you have the money? So that's not the idea that we want. So whatever case you are, you have to decide what is your why. If you want to sell products, that's okay. If you want to sell courses, that's okay too. But first, think about what is your statement. In a few sentences, just one sentence. I am doing this business because da 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 da. And that will guide your daily actions in order to tell a story and motivate, inspire, instead of just selling.
Awesome answer. Flo, one of the things that you spoke about a little bit earlier was just the fact that you didn't really go into using your social media to grow your business. You were just sharing your everyday experiences being out and about. So talk to us a little bit about marketing and storytelling as opposed to just selling.
No, absolutely. And so what have worked for me is that I was posting things that I enjoyed doing, that was impactful, in terms of like, if I find a new product that was I would share that. If I went to a restaurant that the food was great, I would share that. So I was giving people value in returns to reviews, not intentionally creating that platform, but I just was sharing what I found, because I understand that people always are in the market for good service and products in general. And so it's telling a story that resonates. So people who wants to know, what's happening around town, they became my followers, because they want to stay in a loop of, okay, Flo, where's the best place to go? Who's the best person to meet? What you doing up next? And so being able to, like you say, create my story where, I'm sharing, the value that I was bringing in regards to, hey, you guys, have you heard about this? And it kind of, evolved and the snowball effect into something different. And so, whereas, like if you're selling cold, if you're doing a cold hard sell, all you're doing is saying, for example, you have a book, this is the book, this is the price, buy it. You didn't provide any, information as to why you bought, why you created the book, which could resonate with certain people, especially if you have an author or aspiring author who maybe is afraid of writing a book, but sharing that you was afraid or you didn't have any direction will inspire somebody to say, hey, you know what? I'm gonna support this person because I could understand this person's journey because they provide, something that I could connect with, so it's not just putting something right in front of me. As I go back to what I was saying, you are selling you are your brand. Even if you have a product or a service that, is particular, has own, identity, but you yourself is the brand that's behind it. So if people like doing business with people they like, and so it doesn't mean that everybody's going to like it. It doesn't mean your service will be for everybody, because this is where we go in terms of like finding your audience. But overall, think about your friends, think about, family members, think about people you meet. Don't you like to be around people that makes you, that you're happy to be around with, people that makes you laugh, people that maybe, allow you to grow, people that challenge you in a positive way, So people are drawn to your energy based on what you're putting, and so that was what was effective for me, that I found, just like you say, posting and sharing and providing story. People love a good story. People like the story from rag to riches. That's a selling point that a lot of business uses in order to promote their, whatever their product and brand is. People would like to know there's a superhero, it's embedded in our American history that, we'll survive, we'll overcome. So anything that kind of shows that, in terms of like allowing people to know, like, you don't have to stay in that space. You don't have to be in in a confused, chaotic space. There's answers, there are solutions. And so people buy into the solution of whatever you're offering.
Sell the solution, not the product.
Absolutely.
That should be on a t-shirt somewhere. Ryan, look, you didn't even really go into business just to sell the product. You really did start with, your business started with you reaching out to people you were already connected to who could use the value you provided. So can you speak a little bit to the difference between storytelling and marketing as opposed to selling?
Okay, so can I talk about the difference between storytelling and selling? I'm going to say the controversial statement. I'm contradict everybody because my viewpoint is completely different. I think there is no difference between the two. I
Talk
think
to me.
I think they're one and the same when done properly. Here's why. As a business owner or as a content creator, all of you guys probably have created some content. You probably made a TikTok before, you probably made a video. And if you've ever watched quick question for everybody in the room. Raise your hand if you've ever watched a YouTube video. Okay, but just about every hand should go up for that. All right. What's the one thing that they always say at the end of a YouTube video?
Like and subscribe and hit that bell.
That's what I'm talking about. Like and subscribe and hit that bell. And guess what? That's a sale. That's an exchange. That's a call to action. That is a tenet of selling. So when you're in the process of creating any sort of content, whatever you create, it has an objective and a purpose. And of course, the first part of that purpose is to provide value, and how you put together that value. Gabo did mention one of the really good things, which is a great tenet for any content that you put together. It needs to hit one of these points. It needs to be informative. It needs to be possibly inspirational. It's IIE, informative, inspirational, or entertaining. If you combine the three, then that's even better. But the whole point is that you're trying to engage with people and make them feel something. And you need to be doing that in any piece of content, whether it's you putting together an ad that you're trying to let people know about your offer, or you're doing it for a post. Because truth be told, if you're putting together a piece of content on social media, it's your opportunity to actually connect with people. And while you're connecting and you're telling a story and you're sharing something that's either informational, inspiring, like a motivational post like Gabo and Flo does with their stuff, or if it's entertaining just to make people laugh, you always have your call to action at the very end, which is what you're trying to get them to do. So you have an offer. And with, let's say, a YouTube channel, their offer is like, comment, and subscribe. Their offer is, hey, if you subscribe, guess what? If you really like my product, which is this video, I want you to come back and see more of my videos that come out. You hit that notification bell because when I post, I want you to feel the same way that you felt during this video. So it's always a sale. You're always in the process of selling yourself. It's just the objective of the sale changes from whatever you're posting over time. And that's one thing that everybody should keep in mind whenever you're putting anything out on social media, is that you're selling something, have that objective in mind, and give people a call to action, and always tell a story and be interesting. And besides that, you don't always need to be posting content. Networking is probably one of the best things. I have never been, even though I teach social media and I do marketing for companies, I don't post a lot. What I do a lot, however, is I give value in very concentrated places. So I do that in workshops and stuff. I tell people about my social media and give them a chance to engage with me. But on social media, most of the stuff that I'm doing is networking, and I reach out to people, hit them up in them DMs. And that's actually how I got my first job, was through Twitter. I got my first job because one person that I absolutely loved, she was absolutely amazing. I wanted her to be my mentor. She made a post on Twitter about needing an assistant for a shop that she was opening, and I was like, I definitely want to apply for this. And I was in high school at the time, and then I looked at the job description and I'm like, I'm not qualified for this. But I applied anyway, and I DM'd her and I started a conversation, and through starting that conversation, I didn't get that job, thank God, but I started working with her, and that turned into my career for almost 6 years. And that's how I got all my skills and all my experience and all these different projects, working with NBC Universal and Google and Dell and all this stuff, and Facebook, all because I decided to hop into somebody's DMs.
Wow. So what you're basically saying is there's always an opportunity to leverage social media if you view it as a tool and not just a toy. Those are the
social media
use, but that's my takeaway.
Yeah, so social media is not just a toy. It's meant to be a tool for you to give an offer to people, and always make sure that your value is either inspiring, informing people or entertaining people, and it's best to combine those three, like two of those three at least.
I made sure I put that in the chat because that's the first time I've ever heard it put that way. Now, a lot of our students are going to have to do a marketing portion of their plan, right, of their presentation. And most of them are going to reference social media as part of their marketing plan. Can you speak a little bit, starting with Ryan, about how a budding startup can build both awareness to their product and stand out on social media?
Okay, so for the plan that they're putting together, is the plan supposed to like outline what they're going to be using social media for, or is it just like an itemized list of what they're spending?
Well, the plan is more of a broad overview, so kind of a high-level view of going to be your marketing efforts in order to get people to know your business exists.
Okay, so smartest thing to keep in mind and to put together, and this should help you guys write your social media portion. And if you want to actually put it together and make it part of your business, this is what you should do. Number one, don't do everything. There's way too many social media channels, and to be 100% honest, most of your clients aren't going to be there. So number one, actually don't do everything. So don't do everything. Narrow down your target audience, your ideal customer. So get the chance to like really think about, hey, who is your ideal client? And by your ideal client, think of the 20% of people who you can help the most with your product, and then start defining them. What's their age range, gender if that's applicable, where do they live geographically? So once you narrow that down and you think about these people, once you have it narrowed down, you can narrow it down to at least 3 social media profile platforms that they'll be on. So if you're looking for kids, more than likely you're probably not kids, but like teens and working with teens, more than likely your 3 social media channels you're going to look at are going to be IG, Snapchat, and TikTok. Plain and simple, because those are the 3 that they show up on. If you're looking for an older audience who may be running businesses, then you're going to be looking at Facebook, LinkedIn, and maybe Twitter. So you need to understand the people that you're trying to reach and use social media as like your platforms to reach those people. Of course, you should definitely be posting. Spend some time. You could talk about spending time analyzing the influencer space around your industry that you're trying to go into. So you should know who the major influencers are. So who are the people who are producing really good content for whatever profiles that you're, well, not every profiles, whatever platforms you're looking to go on. So let's say if somebody is looking to start a sneaker reselling company, who are the sneakerheads who are like doing the most on IG and talking about sneaker flipping? Who are like the biggest people talking about that industry on YouTube and stuff? So map out the sphere and who exists in that sphere, and start reaching out to them, because surprisingly they're very easy to get a hold of. I got a hold of like CEOs of companies just by like sending them emails. Once you've gone through that process and mapped them out, steal. Yeah. Here's another big thing. Surprise, surprise. Good artists copy, great artists steal. So learn how to steal like an artist. Great book that I think everybody should check out is Steal Like an Artist by Austin Kleon, and Show Your Work by Austin Kleon. Both are very great books. One is about stealing and copying and using that process, because originality isn't necessarily coming up with something on your own. Originality comes from the unique blend of your inspirations that make you unique. And Show Your Work is just an awesome book on how you don't like produce content, you're documenting your process. So while you're in the process of figuring out this stuff and building your business, you're not creating content, you're just documenting and sharing a piece of what you're doing. So if you're reading a book, take a photo of it, like send a screenshot of a quote, Let people know what you're working on. Just talk about stuff. Talk about your journey, because that's interesting in and of itself. And find out where your people are congregating online. So Facebook groups are definitely a great place. Reddit groups, wherever your people are online, find out where they're congregating and join the conversation, and just start giving value. Just start helping out people. Make comments. That's like some of the easiest things that you can do. Like, let's say if you create a page, start following different groups, and as that page, make comments. And that's a great way to start bringing in traffic to your page. And that's a low cost way, because it only takes your time and effort to actually start generating likes and views on your stuff, just by posting really valuable content and like really thoughtful posts and really thoughtful comments in Facebook groups, in like, you know, Instagram comments and all that type of stuff. And then once you start making some money with your business, because you should be focusing on making money with your business, invest in paid reach, because that's how you make a business scalable. So with Facebook is like the easiest platform to put together. Have Facebook as part of your social media advertising, because it's super simple, user friendly, and it's very forgiving. And you're essentially just purchasing real estate or physical space on people's screens, and you can't really replicate that unless you're just like really good at putting together viral content or partnering with other people.
Wow, that was a lot of value in that. And I put all 7 that you spoke to in the chat for anyone who wants to follow. Flo, I know he covered a lot of it, but how do you counsel and consult your clients to find a way to get recognized in a crowded marketplace using social media?
Well, first of all, I analyze the business, because everybody is in different industry. So the way, for example, someone who's in tech will speak entirely different from someone, for example, who's selling clothes and shoes. You know, it's understanding how the language, you know, what kind of slang, you know, if that your audience use, you know, how well they, you know, how often they are on social media, you know, what's their age group, you know. So it's like, and I would tell people, if you have an avatar, you build a person of who you're trying to reach, that person kind of direct you to like who's your audience, you know. Like one of the things I've learned in a social media class years ago that I took is it's saying, for example, if social media was a person, you know, let's put it together. So you have Instagram. Instagram is where people post to show off something. You know, you're showing what you're doing. It's a picture storytelling platform. So Instagram is a person's eyes. You know, so if you post things that are alluring to the eyes, then you are able to connect more in that platform. You know, so if you go to Facebook, often you have Facebook, you know, like you say, it's more of an older crowd. People are sharing passion and heart to heart projects and everything else. So Facebook will represent the heart of a avatar person. You know, so if you give a lot of value in regards to what resonate that's in that space for whoever your audience is, then you're able to connect with them in that level. You know, and Twitter is your mouth. You know, it's you sharing, you know, the announcement, big use, you know, so whatever things you want to share, you know, that quick announcement, that is that person, that avatar's mouth. So if you're building that person, if social media was to be a person, like you said, IG is your eye, Facebook is your heart, and Twitter is the person's mouth. You know, so that kind of like a frame of work that we kind of use this to kind of help people gauge into like the different platforms that they're using. And, you know, and one of the things I know you mentioned in terms of like the business plan that you want to talk about is money, money, finance. Because if anything, because I know so many businesses who bring in a lot of money, but also a lot of money goes out. You know, if you don't have the right system to manage your money, you know, and so you got to know like every dollar, every money you have is your employee. That dollar in your pocket is your employee. So you have to give it direction and purpose. You know, so that means that if $20 leaves my hand, what value is that $20 is bringing back to me? Because I'm commanding that $20 because the $20 is my employee to say, this is the work I'm giving you, and this is the result I want in return. You know, So it's just being mindful of how you spent, knowing that, okay, if I make money, if I'm able to make a profit, a portion will go back to the business to reinvest, a portion I need to save for emergency funds, because anything happens, especially in COVID. We live in a war of COVID, and a lot of business have to close down. Business that take decades to build are closed down in 3 months. And they took decades, and so you definitely want to have that pot, and then you definitely want to have your money work for you again, in terms of like investing in other, so many times business not thinking in terms of like having, for example, there's business who invest in insurance in order to allow, if something were to happen, they cover their businesses, invest in, other equity things, equity in terms of like, I'm not sure, how the language, the terminology with, but in terms like how you get a return, always thinking in terms of like, what value am I putting out and what value am I expecting to get out? And so if you learn how to think that way, to say my dollar, even a penny that fell out of my pocket, is an employee that I have to give it direction. If you don't give it direction, it goes everywhere, and then you'll be surprised to know, like, hey, why am I not getting a consistent flow of things? No pun intended. But not, but it's because you give it a direction. You're saying if I spend, for example, Ryan, you mentioned ad. If I spend $5 a day to get, whatever reach, I have a goal that I want to target, to bring back $100 back to me for that money that I spent. Or if I buy, if I develop a book that costs me $4 to $3 to create, what is the number of people that I need to sell on a daily basis in order to command my money to come back to me, and having a account, like accounting, keep track of what goes in, keep track of what goes out, so then you can know exactly it's easier to pinpoint what needs improvement. If you're losing money or if you're gaining money, you're able to see what area of your business is bringing you more profit. So the more you are detailed with your money, your finance, and create a system, the better it is when hard time happens, you know exactly what to do. And also you're able to scale your business. Scale means that you're able to grow your business even larger. So then you can have the funds, because one thing, like those who, for example, I'll give an example, like with Carol's Daughter, which is a hair brand. Those who have natural hair, or, whether or not, Carol's Daughter, went viral after she appears on Oprah years ago, and she couldn't come, keep up with the demand, because you remember back in the days, I don't know if you guys ever watched any Oprah show, but back in the days, if Oprah say buy this, millions of people rushed to buy that. And so what happened was that so many people was putting so much order in that she couldn't keep up, because you still have to pay for production. You got to pay for the jar, the product that you put in the hair, the factory, whatever happens, the logistic of that. And so eventually she had to sell her business, to keep up with some of, the demands of everything else. So you have to have enough cash flow in regards to know how to support your business if it's growing, when to hire more help, when hey, mom, dad, sister, brother, cousin, friend, or, if you don't have that access to you, maybe, learn how to, post a, vacancy of open position, but knowing how, when it's time to start, position yourself so that you can grow in a way where it brings more profit, instead of making money, a lot of money, and then losing a lot of money at the same time, because then what's the point of that?
What's the point?
What's the
Your
point
business
of that?
can't survive.
Absolutely. So that will be my spiel of today.
Appreciate it. That was a lot of insight there. Gabriel, I know you wanted to share your screen. So same question. How can a startup leverage social media for attention?
Perfect. The only two things I'm gonna say is that let people want to talk, so make them talk. Creating controversial content, creating some informational tip that they didn't know, and they can spread it out. They will do all the work for you. And let's gonna look at this. I'm gonna share my screen, guys, so you can see the first example. Can you guys see it, right?
There we go. Yes.
Yes.
So in this case, you can see how Elon Musk broke Tesla window to promote the Cybertruck. he said Tesla put out a report that they didn't spend more than $1,000 in marketing in the Cybertruck, meaning that all the social media put this picture out there and did all the marketing for Tesla. Meaning that if you create content that is controversial, that is very funny, or that is very entertaining, people will spread it out. And the second thing that I will recommend you is that put a picture of your ideal persona. Let's say that I want to create an academy for soccer players. So I should put here soccer player. So I will start seeing, okay, this is very professional. He looks like young. So you have to like picture how your customer will be. For example, let's say I'm in the Hispanic industry, Hispanic here. So I start seeing, okay, which one looks like my client? Which one looks like my ideal persona? Which one looks like it will buy from me? And once you spend some time looking at your persona, you go to a spreadsheet, and I selected this one. So profile of my persona. So my business will target Hispanic students from 12 to 18 years old, male and female, motivation to study and succeed, and have a job, or that's optional. And there you go. You create in just seconds or minutes a profile of your persona, of your ideal persona for your business. And this is all you need to do. And why you should do this? You should do this because it will give you a perfect picture of the client, of the customer that you are gonna attract. And this is a secret that I do in competitions. I do exactly the same procedure so I can picture myself, how is it gonna be my customer? So in few words, make a content that is relevant and picture your customer persona in a picture. So put in a picture, put in a word, and start to describe it.
Wow. And I know that that's something that we actually do teach the students, right? But a lot of the times it feels like I'm learning this. But the question that you always ask in the classroom environment is, when am I ever going to use this in real life? Gabriel, I appreciate the fact that you shared that you use it and you've had success with it in the Nifty environment. And Flo, Ryan, I know both of you touched on how important it is to understanding who your audience is and being able to reach them. I don't want to take up too much more of your time, so I will ask this as a last question, 30 to 45 seconds. If you could please share an insight and or a tool that you want our students to walk away with from this discussion about using social media marketing to help grow awareness of their business. Flo, you're on the floor first.
Well, I guess my advice would be in terms of like, just figure it out. You know, sometimes we feel like we need all the answers up front, you know, but often I learned, like, in order to be perfect, because that's ideal it's the process of doing something, you know. So start with where that you desire. So start with the end vision. I always say, whatever you visualize yourself, start with end vision and then work yourself backwards, you know. And so start posting things, start getting into the game, you know. Start getting into the game, and once you're in the game, then you start being more narrow and start navigating, you know. And don't let failure, there's no, you know, failure is just as close as success, you know. They're cousins to each other. So do not let failure stop you. Just, you know, if you find a post that's not resonating with your audience, just, you know, you can find out why and then just repost something different. Simple as that, you know. So don't take nothing personal. Just like you said, keep going and keep posting, and perfect come in the process.
Awesome. Ryan.
Start now. Start now, because imperfect action now is better than perfect action a few months from now. Because you'll find that you'll get much more traction, you'll get much more feedback, and you'll learn in the process of doing things imperfectly. I am the king of doing things imperfectly in the beginning and just making it better over time. They call that iteration, like building things in iteration. You do a thing, you get feedback, you make it better, and just do it as a process of making things better over time. So to be 100% honest, everybody should be hopping on Facebook Live or IG Live today and talk about their experience and what you learned and what you're going to be working on today. And just do that for like the next 5 days. Just hop on live and start doing something imperfectly, because you'll start to notice that you'll start learning, and then the fear will disappear. Because when it comes to posting stuff online, a lot of people have, you know, the fear of getting on camera, the fear of being on video and stuff like that. And then another thing to do that would probably be the best tool would be to check out canva.com. Which is like a great design tool. You guys probably already know about it. Yeah, Canva is amazing. They have everything from, you know, putting together videos. It's an awesome software for putting together presentations, social media posts, and all that stuff. And then one other thing to do is go to your favorite YouTuber's channel, your favorite huge YouTuber, go to their videos and click the date order and switch it to oldest and look at their oldest videos. And you'll be absolutely surprised at how terrible they are. Oh my gosh. And if they could do it and be bad in the beginning, so can you.
That is actually great advice, because often even adults do this, right? They think you have to be perfect in the beginning, and they don't realize they're comparing themselves to people that are 2, 3, 10 years in, and they don't look at where they started. They're comparing themselves now to where those people are now, not to where they began. So that is amazing advice. And Gabo, you've got the last word, man.
Perfect.
Insights that you would like to share for our students to take away.
Perfect. Well, my final words in this meeting is that I have to tell you that God was my foundation in my life, because a lot of people tell me, no, believe in another person, but that person failed me. Believe in yourself, but maybe I doubt myself sometimes. So I will say personally, I will give you this advice: believe in God, because He is the one that has the resources. He gives you the resources. There is a phrase that says, God provides the wind, man must raise the sail. So God provided you with your life. God provided you with the resources. God provided you with the internet, with everything, but you have to take action. Daily actions. And that Ryan said something incredibly. He said, do a live, do research YouTube. So he's telling you actions. So I encourage you guys, take at least 3 actions this week with your social media. Post something that you like, make a live, record a video. And my second phrase, and with this I'll finish, is a Japanese proverb that is very famous, and it says, vision without action is a daydream, but action without vision is a nightmare. So you have to have both. The vision, so it's a daydream. You can put yourself like in a perfect world where everything works out. That's your vision, but you have to put it with actions. So you don't get in a trap of doing actions without knowing the direction. So you stay in that nightmare. So thank you for you guys for your attention. I know this summer camp will give you all the resources. And I started last year, my first summer camp. And look who I am right now. I'm making apps right now. I'm making business ideas. And so you can do it as well. So thank you guys, and hope you the best for the future.
Wow. I appreciate it. Thank you so very much, Gabo. Thank you, Flo. Thank you so very much, Ryan. I always say this, but it's not just empty words. It's a real fact. The work that we do is impossible to actually do without the volunteers, those who come in and share your actual insights and your expertise with our young people. So for that, we're truly grateful, and we absolutely appreciate you. For the students, for students who are looking to reach out to you, if you could please leave either your social media and or your email address in the chat. We didn't get a chance to take student questions, but inevitably, whenever we do social media, there are going to be questions. So if students are willing to or looking to reach out to you, just let them know how they can actually reach you by putting that in the chat, please. Once again, thank you. I believe Miss Brown is going to want her students to come back to the class. Mr. Lawhorn, do you want your students to come back to class?
Yes, sir. I will dismiss them from class, and I'm so happy to see Gabo doing this thing, going from our camp last year, and now he's coming back and teaching the kids. That's awesome to see.
Awesome. And for anyone who's wondering, that Gabo, when he took the class last year, Mr. Lawhorn was his teacher back then. So we promise the stuff that we're talking about that you're learning right now are real. Like, you could actually make money in real time if you absolutely apply the information and the principles that you're learning. There are people doing it in the real world, and you are probably 2 to 3 steps ahead of a lot of your peers who are still waiting to apply what they're learning in the classroom. Thank you so very much. Y'all have—
Oh, wait, Daniel, I just want to say really quickly, just, thank you, Flo, Ryan, Gabo. This was phenomenal. Honestly, this was our 4th session so far, and this was honestly one of my favorite. You guys were all great. Thank you for the insight, and of course, spending your time with the students. This was really great. Thank you guys, all of you. Thank you. It was amazing.
Thank you.